I'm the youngest man in this gathering. At 71, I feel like that. Dr. Khojki owes my thanks. Half of my work she has already done about Khojki script. Well, Khojki actually is not a language. It has never been a language. It's simply a script. I have some notes of my grandfather. He died at the age of 108 in 1928. Most of you may be knowing I was born at Amritsar. I'm a Punjabi Ismaili. 200 to 300 years prior to Pir Sadr Din's Khoja conversion, Punjabi Ismailis were living in Punjab, and most of the work of Pir Shams happened in Punjab. Up to 1918, we had about 100,000 Ismaili Guptis in Punjab. They were converted by Pir Shams, great-great-grandfather of Pir Sadr Din. Pir Shams, according to one version, lived 121 years, but there is another version, he had 240 years life. And he taught his son Pir Sahib Din. Pir Sahib Din's son, Pir Nasir Din, he was also taught by Pir Shams. Pir Nasir Din's son, Pir Sadr Din, he was also a disciple and a student of Pir Shams. And even Pir Hassan Kabir Din, son of Pir Sadr Din, was very small, very young, and he also lived during the lifetime of Pir Shams. So you know Pir Shams, Pir Sahib Din, which is also known as Shahabuddin, but in our Ginans he is known as Sahib Din. Then his son Pir Nasir Din. Then his son Pir Sadr Din, his son Pir Hassan Kabir Din. These 5 Pirs lived at a time. They were contemporaries. Pir Shams had a lot of influence on all his children. Pir Shams traveled extensively. He was born in Sabzuar. His father's name was Salahuddin. And this Salahuddin was a teacher and guru, I would say, guide and master to that famous Khwaja, Mu'inuddin Chishti of Ajmer. Khwaja Ajmeri, he was a disciple of Pir Salahuddin in Iran. Pir Shams came via Afghanistan, and he lived many years in Ghazni. Ghazni in those days was the capital of Afghanistan. And Afghanistan was a very big empire. You remember this Mahmud Ghaznavi, who invaded 17 times India. So he lived in Ghazni, and then he went to Kashmir, and then came back to Punjab, Balochistan. He went up to Ceylon. Then he went Nepal, Bhutan, Tibet, China. And he has written himself that he went to China fly like a bird. Now, in those days, there wasn't any flying machine like aeroplanes. But Pir Shams says that I went there like a bird. When I went to Nepal, I met some lamas and other bhikshus of Buddhists. After some discussions, they agreed that not very long ago, they used to build a kite. That kite was an unusual figure, like a room, say 6 by 6 and 6 feet high, a 6 feet cubicle, built with cane, not bamboo. Cane is lighter than bamboo and stronger than bamboo. And then they would cover it with silk parchment and paint it to keep secure so that no gas may escape. There would be an outlet at the upper level with 2 strings to close it or to open it. That is the concept of, if you know, recently many people, they go into balloons and they keep a blower. This blower just throws up the gas, and when the balloon is filled, it becomes lighter and it flies. The same principle worked in those days for nearly 2,000 to 2,500 years ago. So they would sit there inside, having, when there is a sunshine, and they would close everything. They would sit in the small basket underneath, tied with strings and ropes. And the upper portion has some kind of divo or batti, a small lamp, made in such a way as, you know, a matko or ghado in India. It's a round shape, flat down, and then very small neck. In it they keep this lamp. If some oil is spilled, it doesn't matter. It will fill the whole room, little room, cubicle of 6 feet with hot air, and then it lifts up, the man is lifted, and they would see the current of and the direction of the wind from this peak to that peak. They fly. Shams went in this way. He mentioned in his own ginans, हमें पोपट रूपे चीन गया. And there he established 84 Jamaat Khanas in China. Now this portion, presently if you see the geography, that is Tibet of the other side, northern Tibet. But in those days it was a part of China. And that's why the China is claiming Tibet. It's their part. So I wanted to tell you that Pir Shams converted the first lot in India, that was Punjabi Ismailis. Punjabi Ismailis, they were Guptis. They were Ismaili Satpanthi. Secretly, their names were Hindus. My father's name was Pannalal. My grandfather, to whom I have just referred here, his name was Bhagwan Das. And up to 1918, Punjabi Ismailis, they remained Guptis. But mind you, they were following Ismailism as Khojas were following in every Imam's time. From Imam Qasim Shah, Punjabi Ismailis are in Satpant. Imam Qasim Shah. Then during the Islam Shah's time, Pir Nasiruddin, Pir Sadruddin, Pir Hasan Kabir Din, Pir Taj Din, they worked during the time of Imam Islam Shah, Muhammad bin Islam Shah, and Abdul Salam, then Gharib Mirza. So up to Imam Abdul Salam, these peers were working in India. My grandfather writes that Pir Shams actually, he was the inventor of this Khojki language, not Pir Sadruddin. It may be Pir Sadruddin might have developed it or used extensively. It was a secret language. I mean, it's not a language, it's script. Only Ismaili Satpanthi, they would use it for their secret matters of religion because they were Hindus. But inside they were Muslims, Ismailis. They wanted to keep it very secretly. And this was the practice of taqiyya that we generally Shia people do in Islam. So these Ismailis, they were mostly living, say, in Lahore, Multan, Bahawalpur, Uch Sharif, and in the vicinity of this area. My ancestors, they lived first in Multan, then in Lahore. We came to Amritsar only about 100 years ago. But we were just Lahore. Lahore, Amritsar is 30 miles away. Amritsar is in the Indian side, and Lahore is in Pakistani side. There is a border at 15 miles distance. The Punjabi Ismailis, they were using this Khojki character more than 200 years before the time of Pir Sadruddin or Khojas. This script has developed considerably, and there are so many variations, as these two scholars, Ali Hassani and Gulshan Khaki, they spoke very well. I congratulate them. That there are so many different characters. Say, A is written nearly 6 different ways. So this character was actually the secret code language of Ismailis, so that one Ismaili may tell to another Ismaili in a particular code that other persons cannot read it. That was the originality to use this script. Its name was not Khojki. Khojki name has been given recently, few years ago, not even 100 years. It was known as a Sindhi. But before Sindhi, when Pir Shams' time, Ismailis were using, it was known as Gurmukhi. But mind you, not the Sikh people's Gurmukhi. Because it was Pir Shams' language, Gurmukhi, spoken from the mouth of Guru. And we used to say Pir Shams as Guru. The word Satguru also is our word. There is no evidence that Nanak met Shams, because there is a lot of difference of the period of both people. Pir Shams lived much earlier. But being a Punjabi, I have come across many Sikh people. In their Granth, there are a lot of matters about Ginans, not as Ginans, but the quotations from Pir Shams Ginan in Granth. I have no evidence. It's a hearsay from the ancestors that Guru Nanak, secretly, he was studying Pir Shams Ginan and his life. You know, Guru Nanak, he was a devotee, and he liked Islam very much. He studied Quran, He went to Hajj also, and he had a very good friend known as Baba Farid. And if you read Granth, Baba Farid has been mentioned by Guru Nanak hundreds of times. There is a saying, just for your information, Baba Farid and Guru Nanak, they both used to say namaz. They both used to sit in meditation. There is an amusing story. Once they were discussing, Farid was younger than Baba Nanak. So once they were talking about spiritual affairs, so Baba Nanak was pure vegetarian. Baba Farid, he was a Muslim. He had some time, rather most of the time, meat. And Baba Farid used to eat a lot of things. Although Baba Nanak was a hefty man, but his food was very small in quantity. Farid says, Nanak, if you eat nicely, you can meditate longer time, because your stomach will not trouble you. He said, no, it is not true. If you eat less, then there is less work for your stomach and liver to do, and so that you are not disturbed in your meditation. So this discussion came to a challenge. Okay, let us do. Baba Nanak prepared his food. He had 2 or 3 chapatis, rotli. And Baba Farid, when he ate, Nanak looked at him. He said, this is sufficient for a week to me. That he ate so much. Well, both sat in samadhi. The word in Granth is written as samadhi. Samadhi means meditation. And this meditation, actually, samadhi's translation is not meditation. What is samadhi? In our upper part of mouth, there is a passage of air coming. When we breathe through nose, it goes down. So there is a passage of air. If that air, instead of going from here down, if it goes up, here behind our 2 brows, there is a cavity. And this cavity is known as, in yoga and meditative groups, it's known as the place of Sukshmana. Now, Sukshmana actually is when 2 nostrils are breathing simultaneously. We breathe, say, from the right nostril for 1 hour and 28 minutes. Then slowly, this is becoming harder, and left is becoming easier, but both become simultaneously flowing at equal place strength. That time, 2 minutes every 1.5 hours, when both nostrils are working equally, that 2 minutes are known as Sukshmana Nadi. And after that, slowly, this right side stops, closes, and the other takes over. So this cycle is going on. If a man is healthy, the timing is 1 hour 28 minutes from one nostril, 2 minutes for both, 1 hour 28 minutes for the other, again 2 minutes for the both, and again the cycle goes like this. And if this cycle is not according to this timing, take for granted there is something wrong in your body. That's a kind of indication. So samadhi is that instead of taking this oxygen or the breath down in your lungs, one side keeps open so that slowly the oxygen is going through the lungs to the brain, but the other side goes up instead of going down. That means the air is divided into two portions. One goes down in the lungs, one goes up. And in this condition, when man comes in samadhi, he is lifeless. Life is there inside, but he is lifeless. That means no part of his body is active. If you lift his hand, it will fall down. It's like a state of coma. Now this samadhi sometimes goes on for years and years. Kamadia Haji, great-grandfather of this man known as Mahbub, Kamadia Haji was very close to my grandfather. And in my grandfather's book, this matter has been written in his own handwriting. Kamadia Haji states to my grandfather, Kamadia, that I once went to Abu. Abu is a mountain in Gujarat. Maulana Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah took me there. The Mukhi of the Jamaat was also with us. And Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah in those days was very young, 27 years old. So they went up. Kamadia Haji was a little bit hefty, old man. He couldn't go up. But the Mukhi was young and he went with Sultan Muhammad Shah up. At the summit, in grass, in shrub, Maulana Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah with his hand stick, he was making a way to go up. And when he went, there was a man sitting, that Mukhi says, his beard was up to the down ground, and the eyebrows and eyelashes were covering his eyes. Very long hair. He had no cloth at all, and he was sitting like a statue. Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah kept his hand stick on his head and banged a little bit. After about a minute, that man opened the eyes. And when he cleared the eyes with his two hands, lifting up all the eyebrows, he saw the Imam, and after a few seconds he went down on his feet. Mawla blessed him, came back. When he came back, Mukhi asked, Khudawan, what was this? Mawla said, from the time of Pir Hassan Kabir Din, he was waiting for my didar. Now, Pir Hassan Kabir Din almost 500 years ago. So do you mean to say that, or I say, he was living there for 500 years? Yes. Even now, there are people in Himalayas who are 400 or 500 years old. They are living, not moving, not eating, not drinking water. You might be thinking absolutely unnatural. But you know, Salman Farsi, who lived 253 years ago, he did not eat for 6 months. He was not sleeping at all. He was meditating, and he became a member of the ALWAAZ. So Shams, Farid and Baba Nanak, they were sitting in the Samadhi. After 36 hours, Baba Nanak came down from Samadhi, came into senses, and he looked at Farid. He was still sitting. So he sat for 3 days, over 70 hours, So such was the story of Baba Nanak and Farid. They were good saints, Abid, and spiritual people. But Baba Nanak, he was a kind of disciple of Peshams, like Iqbal, Muhammad Iqbal. He used to say that I'm a disciple of Rumi. After 1,000 years, Iqbal became a disciple of Rumi. The same way, Baba Nanak was a disciple of Peshams. Now, there are, as I say, Gurmukhi was the name of language that Ismailis during the time of Peshams used to communicate between each other. It wasn't Khojki, but the character resembled 80 to 90%. Afterward, when Peshams came down to Sindh and Bahawalpur, in those days, up to Multan was the area of Sindh. And in Sindh is a language much different than the language that we speak in Punjab, that means in Multan and Bahawalpur. But the Punjabi of Multan and Bahawalpur is not that Punjabi that I speak or we speak in Lahore or Amritsar. Here is Khizar Hayat. He is from Multan. So his Punjabi is a little bit different than my Punjabi. But in those days, this Multani, which is known as also Sindhi, because 50% words in Multani are derived from Sindhi language. So Punjabi, Sindhi and Kutchi, they are sister languages. So when our Pir became much active in Sindh area, Sindh of that time including Multan and Bahawalpur, so this script was known as Sindhi. And even up to now, many of you, like me, went to Sindhi school. Sindhi school means night school after Jamaat Khana or during Jamaat Khana time, where we learned this Khojki script. This was known as Sindhi. And Mukhi Lalji Devaraj, when he brought these fonts of Khojki script from Germany, he went personally in 1896, and he brought 40 fonts of Sindhi, this Khojki character. So when he started printing press, the name was Khoja Sindhi Printing Press. And on the books also it is written, published by Khoja Sindhi Printing Press. It was known as Sindhi. And during Pisadardin's time, this Sindhi character was a little bit modified and developed. All other details, Dr. Khaki has already spoken, so I don't go into minute details. But this language of Sindhi or Punjabi was written in Khojki character. As Dr. Hassani says, not only Ginans, but we have so many other things. I have brought a few manuscripts from my collection because I couldn't bring nearly 40 or 50 collection. All it becomes very heavy, but I have placed here. There is one small Allah Tohar Dua Dorude Akbari Vadi Utariya Ayun. It's not any Ghinanic literature or other thing. It's a collection of certain duas, wazifa, Durood Akbari. Now, Durood means prayer for Rasulullah and his al. What we say, Salvat Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, it is known as Durood. Anything you make a salam or any prayer for the peace of Rasulullah and his al, it is known as Durood. So this is Durood Akbari, written in Khojki. You can see afterward. It's a 150 years old collection, and really very nicely written. There are so many other things also. I have got a manuscript which contains Falnama. Falnama means you want to know your fortune. They say it is written there, origin from Imam Jafar Sadiq. Although I have seen in Arabic and Persian also, Imam Jafar Sadiq's Falnama. And this Falnama, there isn't any mention about Imam Jafar Sadiq, but it resembles, there is some resemblance. This Falnama is in Khojki. Then as Dr. Asani says, there are some prescriptions, aphorism about health, medicine. So there are so many other things in Khojki. And amazingly, Hindus of Punjab and Multan, they also used it. Now, I simply guess it, that these Hindus who used it, their forefathers must have become Satpanthis. And slowly, they went out of Satpanth, Ismaili Satpanth, but they kept this kind of character of writing. As you know, many times from Ismailis offshoots have come. These Gupti people who are living in Ahmedabad, they have separate Jamaat Khana. Guptis are practically all over. Even now in Canada, Guptis have come who are Hindus, but they are Ismailis inside. They say their dua, they send all ceremonies. So during that time, as I told you, referring my grandfather, there were 100,000 Gupti Ismailis up to 1918. In November 18, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah called 8 dignitaries, leaders of Punjabi Jamaat. Now when I say Punjab, Punjab starts from Ambala up to Peshawar. Though Peshawar area is frontier area, northwest frontier area, but from Jamaati affairs, I say that was the Punjabi Jamaat. 8 persons out of them, there was one great grandfather of Khidr Hayat also, and my father. 12 o'clock midnight, one day, Imam gathered them at his bungalow. The bungalow was Aurora Palace. And there he said, now, I tell you, you are my murid from the time of Imam of Pir Shams. And you are so imani, very strong in iman, in your faith. But now time has come that I, as your imam and Pir, Shah Pir both, I order you, hum tumko farman karta hai, you change your names and become Muslims openly. All these 8 peoples, I have got the names of all those 8. They bow down their head, Amin Khudaban. So Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah, he started changing their names there and there. So he asked one by one, what is your name? Suppose my father was asked. He said, Khudaban, my name is Pannalal. Tum aaj se Ali bolo. So he changed my father from Pannalal, his name, to Ali. And then he asked my father, what is the name of your father? He said, Khudaban, Bhagwan Das. Usko Aziz bolo. So I'm Abu Ali Ali Bhai Aziz. So he changed the names of all those 8 people, including their fathers or their sons, and then gave them chato. You know, another thing he said, from here, you know, we were Hindus openly for hundreds of years. From Pir Shams, we never touched meat. We were pure vegetarians. And there he said, smilingly, it's 1 o'clock in the night. Still Mughal restaurant is open opposite railway station of Pune. This matter happened in Pune. From my bungalow, you go there in that Mughal restaurant and eat beef. They all perspired. They never thought about it. My father said that we went there because of Farman. Look at the obedience. He said, I put a small piece of beef into my mouth. I was chewing and chewing and chewing, but I could not just swallow it because we never touched even beef. But he said, it was Farman, we ate it. Now, at that time, unfortunately, about 40,000 Ismailis remained as Ismailis. Out of these 100,000 Guptis, 60,000 Ismailis, Guptis, they did not obey Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. So out in Punjab, even now in Indian Punjab, there are thousands of Guptis. Some are my relatives. And when I go to Delhi or other places, I meet them sometime. It's the third generation now. So I was telling you this thing. Punjabi Ismailis played a great role in developing this character script. Khojki, it has come from very far past. And unfortunately, we are losing it. I thank all people you are here, that we are doing something to preserve it, and we want to preserve our heritage. Try to improve it yourself and also propagate. We don't want it to become a national language. It cannot be done. But certainly it has some past connected with our history, with our religious literature. I will show you how many Ghinan literature books are presently published. But this is not a comprehensive collection. There are so many others unpublished but written books in our collection. For instance, I have made a list. Satwani, Vadi, by Sayyid Nur Muhammad Shah. It has Chuga, means a page or two having lines of a poem, which is known as a Kadi. So it has 222 Chugas, total 3,108 parts. Number 2 is Satwani Nindi, that means smaller. It is by Sayyid Imam Shah, father of Nur Muhammad Shah. The son wrote bigger script, and the scripture that the Sayyid Imam Shah wrote the smaller one, Shuga 22, 644 parts. Siharfi by Ahmad Shah. Now Ahmad Shah was son of Nur Muhammad Shah, grandson of Imam Shah. He wrote this Siharfi in 8 Chugas, 192 parts. Part means a stanza. Then Vaik Moto by Pir Shams. It is 31 part. Vaik Nivel by Pir Shams. Vel means, actually Vel means a creeper, but here a Vel means an addition. It has got 64 parts. Khat Darshan by Pir Sadruddin, 45 parts. Khat Darshan Nivel by Pir Sadruddin, 81 parts. And Chatur Kalapnu Mandan. We are passing in Kal Yug. This is Kal Yug. We have covered about less than 7,000 years, around about 7,000 years. And the remaining portion of Kal Yug is 425,000 years. The total age of Kal Yuga is 432,000 years. The past Yuga was Dwapar Yuga. It was 864,000 years long. Then previous to that was Treta Yuga, which was 1.264 million years long. And the first Yuga, Sat Yuga, it was 1.796 million years long. So if you add all together, it becomes 4.32,000 years. 4.320 million years. So this portion is the last portion of Char Yuga. Before Char Yuga was Char Kalap. So this particular book, written by P. Sadruddin, it has 235 parts. Chatur Kalap Nu Mandan, the starting or establishment of Char Kalap, Jaila, Faila, Arza, Khalifa, the name of the Kalap, P. Sadruddin has written. Then it is Man Samjhani Nindi by Imam Shah, 331 parts. Then Man Samjhani Vadi, Man Samjhani Nivel, it has got only 6 parts. Then again it is for one page only 46 Sunnat, written by Imam Shah. 46 Sunnat means what Rasulullah was doing and what Rasulullah told Muslims to do. There are 46 such orders to prepare for meditation, for prayer, or for going to mosque, for ibadat. So there are 46 Sunnat-e-Rasul. It is in Khojki. Brahm Prakash by Pir Shams has 150 parts. And Mohammad Chitamani, Mohammad Chitveni is Imam Shah, 323 parts. Jhankar by Imam Shah, 487 parts. Khat Niranjan by P. Sadruddin, 266 parts. Bhut Avatar by P. Sadruddin, 525 parts. There is a version which has got 523, but here with me there is 2 parts more than that. Moodband, Soul Third by Imam Shah, there are no parts, but the collection is 247 pages. Then Soul Third by Imam Shah separately, 192 parts. Moman Chitanani by Imam Shah, 630 parts. Patal Gita by Imam Shah, there are no parts, it's prose, 9 pages. You know, amazingly, Patal Gita is about America. Patal in Sanskrit means under your feet. If you stand in India, so the America is under your feet on the other side. And it is known as Patal. It was known as Patal. People of 1,000 years ago, they knew about another world under their feet. They did not know that the earth is round. Moman Chitamani, Now Garbi 28 by Pir Shams, 516 parts. Ananta Khado by Pir Hasan Kabir Din, 500 parts. Moman Chitveni, Pir Sadruddin, 552 parts. This becomes the total 8,899. Soloko Moto by Pir Shams, 240 parts. Soloko Nano Pir Sadruddin, 120 parts. Bhuj Niranjan, 646 parts. Das Avatar Nano, there are no parts but just only 2 pages. Mood Bandhanu Achodo Pir Shams, 550 parts, including Hans Hansali. It's a separate book, but bounded one. Then is a Chandrabhan and Chandrabhan Nivel, 868 parts. Surajbhan and Suraj Bani Vel 868 baht, both by Pir Shams, and they were the secretaries to Pir Shams. Chela. Jannatpuri by Sayyid Imam Shah 158 part, Hasnapuri and Hasnapuri Nivel by Pir Hasan Kabir Din 249 parts, Parab Pandvona Sayyid Imam Shah and 578 part, Sahih Samarani by Pir Sadr Din 32 parts, So Kirya by Pir Sadr Din 100 parts, Raja Govarchand Ani Govarchand Ani Ben Ini Katha Ni Akhyan, it total is 396 plus 98, say 494 parts. Satgurna Putra 223 parts, Nav Chuga by Pir Hasan Kabir Din 90 parts, Satveni Vel Nur Muhammad Shah 150 Chuga 4500 parts, Das Avtar Moto Imam Shah 1613 parts, 1613. That was the work of Dr. Khojki. Naklanki Gita, it's in prose 119 pages, Mood Gavantri 51 pages, Girbawali Moti by P. Sadruddin 40 pages, and except pages, the total becomes 11,329 parts. We stole Imam Shah 114 pages, Bavan Gati by Sadruddin P. Sadruddin 26 pages, Aradhana by P. Sadruddin 41 pages, Man Samjhani Vadi by P. Shams. Originally it had 500 pages, but Mukhi Lalji Devraj, he writes that 99 pages were lost in the way that the ink became so invisible that we could not see the words. But still, in 401 pages, it has got 8,020 parts. Pir Hasan Kabir Din and Kanipani, dialogue between Kanipa and Pir Hasan Kabir Din, and it's a very small thing. There are no parts, but 4 pages. Satvarni by Muhammad Shah, 316 pages, 4,424 parts. Atharved by P. Sadruddin 4 pages. Girbawali Nani by Imam Shah 4 pages. Surat Samachar by P. Sadruddin 6 pages. Vinod by P. Sadruddin 4 pages. Gugrina Ginano by Sayyid Imam Shah 63 parts. Gugri, Imam Shah says that Gugri was there in paradise near the throne of Allah, and that Gugri means anything which gives some sound. Children, babies, they play with Gugri.
Rattler?
Yes, a rattler. So he says that there was Gugri and shining, glittering like light. Nur was coming out of that Gugri. Now it has something to do with ibadat. That Gugri not there, but the Gugri is there in our brain when we meditate. So there is a kind of sound also in meditation. In many ginas we find mukh bina gaye, sarvan bina suniye. There we sing without the tongue and listen without ears. So this is something to do with meditation. Gugrina Ginano, said Imam Shah, it has got 63 parts. By Budai, 71 ginans. It has 544 parts. Gavantri, P. Sadruddin 4 pages. Brahm Gavantri by Hasan Kabir Din 3 pages. Atharvedi Gavantri, Imam Shah 4 pages. And Putura by P. Sadgur Nur 222 parts. 36 crore. I couldn't find the parts because I had no time. And 178. Okay. And Vishwa Kumari Nu Viva. So total I have got, without this 178, 33,501 parts of all these, plus 600 ginans, and prose of 676 pages, and there are 600 ginans. First bhag of 100 ginans, it has got 1,333 parts. Second bhag 1,440, third bhag 1,365, fourth bhag is 1,517, fifth is 1,387, and sixth has 1,003, total 8,025 parts of 600 ginans. You know, this much is the collection. I have got a written document by Kalaruda Bhagat. Bhagat Kalaruda, he died in 1933-34. He has written two translations, one of Girbavali, which I have got in his own handwriting, and the second, Bhuchani region.
What are you going to say?
Oh, yeah. Kalaruda writes that our peers converted 500,000 people to Satpanth, and they wrote 1 crore, that means 10 million stanzas of literature. And I see here it is hardly 45,000 plus 676 pages of prose. But when I heard Salim Musa, ALWAAZ Salim, that this Ginan written by some Badruddin, there may be so many other things. You know, when peers converted people into Islam, many remained as Muslims outwardly, many remained as Guptis, and subsequently many left our faith and went into Shariati side, and they became Sunnis or Bohras or other things. They converted so many. Now all these people whose forefathers were Ismailis, converted by either Pir Sadruddin or Pir Shams or Pir Hasan Kabir Din or any Pir, slowly their children, their generations passed, and they just went astray from our point of view. And even if you go to the tombs of our Pir Shams or Pir Sadruddin or Pir Hasan Kabir Din, it's controlled by their progeny, but they are either Isna Asharis or Sunnis. They were all Ismailis at one day. They were. Now, many people out of they may be having Ginans or any other books written by peers which we don't know, and it is lost. But there are so many other things with other non-Ismailis like Isna Asharis who used this Khojki script. In 1939, 1st September, World War was declared by Hitler. Third day, Great Britain declared war on Germany. End of September, I received a letter from my college, St. Xavier College of Bombay, that military has asked us to provide such students who know more than 2 languages to work in censor office. So I went there from October 1939 to August 1945. I was working as a censor. In the beginning I was for half day, part-time, but then when I completed my education, I just worked there full-time. During that time of nearly 5 years, I haven't counted, but I guess that I must have read more than 250,000 letters and articles for censor purpose. And amazingly, people from Amman, Muscat, from Gwadar, Patni, from Basra, from Baghdad, Isna Sharif and many other like Yemen people, they were writing their letters in Khojki script. And I was the only person in whole 60 people staff of censors in the Bombay. I was the only person who could read this Khojki. And actually, my name went there through Dr. Ivano. And I worked at one table with him opposite for nearly 5 years. So any Khojki letter would come, he would send to me. So this Khojki script was used not only Ismailis, but even by Memons, by Isna-Sharif, by Bohras also. And that is not very far, just about 45, 50 years ago. The Khojki script has very brilliant past. It's now dying. It's dying. As I told you, Mukhi Lalji Devraj went to Germany in 1895 or 96. He lived there nearly 3 months, came back with Khojki types and the machine. The machine was Lidenberg, and they established in Bhimpura, Bombay, and he just gave the name Khoja Sindhi Printing Press. And there all our books were turned in Khojki first. Then after about 25 or 30 years after the death of Lalji Devraj, Wali Nanji Huda took its charge, and he was working in this press. And Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah changed the name from Khoja Sindhi Printing Press to Ismaili Printing Press. That was around about 1929-30. And Chunara, Ali Muhammad Jan Muhammad Chunara, he was made the manager of this press. Wali Nanji Huda, he was working there. Salim Nasim, he was also working there, who helped the translation of Quran Sharif in Gujarati, and we published 10 paras out of 30, and unfortunately other 20 paras, they were left there waiting for to be printed, but then war came up, and after war was over, when we saw all this moth eaten it up, and we lost that thing. So, this Khojki press, slowly, when Gujarati came, new types were not brought in, old types broke, and we stopped printing things in Khojki script, and slowly Khojki died. It is not a dead language, dead script, but we should do our utmost to do it. We must help it. There are some other things. I'm not showing you the difference between letters of Gujarati and Khojki. Dr. Khaki has already done it. But now I'll be giving you.
Can we leave something for tomorrow's session, because we
Oh, yes. No, let me finish it here. So that okay, if you say these Ginans, unpublished Punjabi Ginans, I'll do it tomorrow. Fine. So this is the end of my lecture. Any question? The rest I'll take her tomorrow. Thank you very much.